Chapter 1: Mysteries and Magic the Gathering. On a cozy fall night in West Seattle, Peter Adkison, founder of Wizards of the Coast and Gen Con TV, is summoned to Chaldea Studios by his longtime friend and collaborator, Richard Garfield. On arriving at Chaldea, Peter is met by the knowing elder, Skaff Elias, Richard's game design partner since the days of Magic. Smirk on his face, Skaff offers Peter a friendly game of Friday Night Magic as they await Richard's arrival from distant Sydney, Australia.
Well, boy, it's a pleasure to sit down and play some Magic with you, Skaff. It's been a long time, dude.
Yeah, always like hanging out with you.
Oh, thank you. I think it's your turn to cut.
All right.
What, we're talking to Richard about your new game, right?
Yeah, eventually.
I mean, what's the scoop, man? What's it about?
Oh, yeah, gotta wait for Richard.
The-
I mean, I could tell you.
It's
but
just us.
No, I understand. I could tell you, but the thing is,
I mean, it's a card game, video game?
I would get stuff wrong.
Board game?
No, I would get stuff wrong. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for Richard. Best that you hear from him.
That's too bad. Hey, I was thinking about you the other day. Somebody asked me, like, what out of all the Magic events we did, what one stood out, like your favorite one? And I gotta say that pre-release we did,
Ice Age?
Ice Age pre-release in Toronto. Was it Toronto?
It was in Toronto. That's correct.
I'll never forget that.
That was great. That was a really, really cool event. First time we did a pre-release.
That's right.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Remember all the guards coming in, guarding the
Guarding the cards?
security?
Yeah, the security of the cards.
Yeah. And that was
That they've
actually
never
before, that event was before the major organized play stuff. I don't know if you, because that wasn't,
But
the
it was
first Pro
part
Tour
of the-
wasn't until, the first Pro Tour wasn't until early 96. But yeah, we had already had the plans and we had the ideas, and that was really the first big event that we did.
I gotta say, I miss the days of us playing Magic leagues in the office. Like, I'll never forget the league where Richard had, what's the card that you play it, or you play it, the other person has to either give up or ante a card. It's like Demonic Tutor. No, it's not Demonic Tutor. Attorney. Yeah, I think
Was
that
it
was
Demonic
it. Right.
Attorney?
I think it was. Right. Well, Richard had this thing, I'll never forget, with Demonic Attorney, and he would wait until you were sure you were going to win. He's got like one life and two cards on the table, and you're coming at him with Sarah Angels, and he puts out the Demonic Attorney, and you're like, I'm supposed to surrender in this moment?
Yeah.
Hell no. Okay, ante another card, and then he goes boom, 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 blows you away. I'll forget.
You have a much richer experience with losing to Richard than I, so.
You didn't lose to Richard?
Not that much.
Remember, before it became a thing, like Pro Tour, we had tournaments in the very first Gen Con, right? The guy
Right.
that guy with the Plague Rat
Right.
deck won. Yeah, and we called it the World Championship. I
Sure.
did. I don't think you guys did. That might have just been me in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be good. When's Richard supposed to come anyway?
I don't know. Okay, so this guy.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Chapter 2: The Origins of Chaos Agents.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Garfield. Woohoo!
Hey guys, great to see you.
Great to see you.
You
How you
too.
doing?
What are you up to?
Playing Magic?
Play Magic. talking about the glory days. Talking about that time that you had the amazing demonic attorney deck in our Magic League. That was so much fun.
What was the card that you had to you either had to concede or ante another card?
Yeah, that was Demonic Attorney, I think. The other interesting one along those lines was Contract from Below, but I think that was a different one. I think that was something about getting.
I think you drew a hand, got a new hand, yeah.
So what's up?
Yeah, I've just been putting the finishing touches on this tournament we're putting together for Chaos Agents. We're looking forward to its debut and actually getting people to take a look at it.
Do you think I could play? Can I play?
Yeah, of course you can play. You should play the tournament. Although you're going to have to bring your A game because our playtesters aren't going to go easy on you, and they know what's going on. If any of you want to play, stay tuned to the end That way you'll have a chance of winning some medals at this tournament as well, and getting your first taste of Chaos Agents.
Especially if you're competing against Peter.
Yeah, especially, but hey, there's a slight problem here. I have no idea what this game is. What is this game? I mean, you just won't tell me what the game is. I really want to know.
It is an auto battler that is a grand melee. So that is, you have a unique warrior, a unique fighter of some form, and they compete in auto battler fashion. And we're aiming for getting 50 or 70 people, although right now we'll only be having 8.
So auto battler. Okay, so I assume this is a video game.
It is a video game.
Okay, so it's a video game. So people are playing online with each other, like they go on the internet and on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, each player has a unique character, and they participate in a grand melee event, and it's done in auto battle form. So you'll have some opportunities to improve your character, and then watch a little resolution, and then opportunities to guide your character a little more, and thus the game unfolds.
So it's like so you spend time creating. It's almost like you're building a deck, but you don't play the deck. You just like build the deck, and then you build your character.
Well, your character's given to you.
Okay.
And then your character has certain abilities that you'll be able to choose throughout the course of play. From among the things that the character comes with, you'll make choices every round, and then choices about what your character is going to do and what kind of skills it's going to have, and then it runs.
So it's a little like being given a deck, like an old Magic League. You've got a deck, and you choose how to play it. And that deck is your hero.
So you guys have been working on this for a long time, or what?
In some sense, it's been in progress since Magic. With Magic moving to becoming mostly about constructed, it left this idea of everybody having their own treasures behind. Now, you can still get that. You can play sealed deck. You can play your own leagues, but that wasn't where the energy behind the product was. And ever since then, I've been sort of thinking of a natural way to try to get that excitement back, because in a lot of ways, a game like Magic makes a promise to its players which it doesn't deliver on to some of the players. That is, when people first play Magic, they get really excited because it feels like an infinite game. There's so much possibility. You've got your own cards. Your opponents have their own cards, and your friends have different cards, and so forth. But that's not really what the game becomes about as they begin to take the game more seriously. And so at that point, a lot of players move on to something else because they're not interested in the constructed net decking competition part of Magic, which is excellent, but narrow.
I gotta admit, I never actually really got into constructing decks.
You're a busy guy.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's not really the excuse. It's like I've just always loved the sealed deck format or the drafting format in leagues. So I think I'm your target market here.
Makes a lot of sense. It's just a different experience and a different feeling. I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's a shame that some of that was lost, right? Because Magic went in this other direction, which is great, but this is an opportunity to come back and focus on that one part of Magic that has been out of the spotlight.
Magic's decision to focus on it is pretty natural, in part because the product itself. I mean, you can do a sealed tournament, and people do drafts. They're amazing, and cubes and so forth. But this idea of the league is really lost, and that's not entirely stewards of Magic's fault, because it's difficult to maintain a league, right? When we played back in the old days, we had our own cards. We had to sort of trust each other not to get more cards, or we might stamp the back of the cards. There's mechanical difficulties to implementing leagues in Magic.
Hey, here you guys are. The tournament's almost ready. I was looking for you guys.
Jeremy,
Yes.
you involved in this?
Yeah, I've been working with Skaff.
Good to see
cool.
you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Wow.
We're getting them up to speed.
Nice. What do you think about the new game?
I haven't played it yet, but it sounds really cool. We've just been trading war stories.
From back in the old days.
Yeah. What was your favorite event from Magic?
Oh, there's so many. One of my fondest memories was when we wanted to redesign the land and do new art on for Ravnica.
Yeah.
And there'd been so many beautiful John Avon paintings over the years. And we said, what if we do something new and we put buildings and establish it for Ravnica, because it's an urban environment. And internally everyone, it blew their mind because they've never seen it, And then once we got done, I thought it was really nice. It was like a comic book, You open up the spread, it established the world. And when I saw Return to Ravnica.
They let you get away with that?
Oh yeah. I started doing all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. So, what have you been working on since? I haven't seen you in 15 years.
Yeah. I moved down to California. I was working on Hearthstone, and for me, it was so cool to work on the first, trading card game, Magic the Gathering, and then to fast forward to work on one of the first biggest digital games like Hearthstone. To see the bookends was really a great experience. I learned a lot down there at Blizzard, and now I'm working on Chaos Agents with Skaff and Richard.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We figured, Magic, Hearthstone, two pretty good things to have in your resume. So.
Well, you were asked about tournament. Are you tournament organizer now, or are you still doing art and graphics?
I'm mainly doing the art and graphics. Hey, speaking of that, John and Arka are coming. I need to go finish getting ready with Peter for the next section.
Yeah.
But I'll see you guys in the tournament, okay?
All right, good to see you, buddy.
All right, good to see you too. Bye.
So he was working on Hearthstone. What are you working on?
Well, we Richard and I have been doing a lot of stuff, but it's interesting, with this Chaos Agents thing. Right before that, the next kind of biggest step along this line was we were working on Keyforge. Keyforge, right?
Oh, I know of it.
Okay.
Certainly.
Yeah, and so that was something that was really finally the print technology really got up to the point where Richard could do this vision of the unique deck games.
Right.
Where it was intrinsic to the game.
Very early on, we thought that the way to address this league issue and the way they were difficult to maintain in Magic was to make it so that the cards had unique card backs and were all connected to the same decks. You couldn't trade them away. So you would completely lose the aspect of Magic where you get to construct a deck. Instead, it's all about how you play the deck you have. And we were talking about that a long time ago, and it took a long time for, as Skaff said, for the printing technology to catch up to us. And of course, once it was there, and we found a very enthusiastic play base, while some people complained that they couldn't construct decks, there were a lot of people said, this is what I want. This is my jam. I really want to just grab a deck, and this is my deck, and nobody else has a deck like it. And during that process, of course, one of the things that kept on coming up was that this idea of having a unique deck, while it took a long time for printing technology to catch up to it, it's not that hard to do digitally, and nobody was doing it.
Yeah, and so there's this guy Arka I had met. We were working on a couple things together, and so then all of a sudden it was like, hey, it would be much easier to do this as a video game, and Arka does video games. And oh wait, actually there's Arka now. Oh, and John.
Chapter 3: Building Chaos Agents and the Popularium Team.
Oh,
Arka!
hi! Hey, Skaff!
Hey, how's it going?
There you are. You seem to be having a good time. Peter, so good to see you
Good to
again.
see
Thanks
you.
for coming
Peter.
by. Thank you so much.
Hey, John.
Hey, how's it
Oh,
going?
there he is.
Yeah.
Hey, Skaff. Always great to see you, man.
What are you guys talking about? Are you ready for the tournament?
Games. Yeah.
I am.
Well, Richard was explaining the game to me and Skaff. I didn't know anything about it before tonight. I knew it happened because Richard was like, hey, we're going to do this thing. But he wouldn't say anything about it. And then this guy wouldn't say anything about it. But yeah, I'm getting briefed.
And now you know everything about it, right?
No. I don't know everything about it, but I'm
What
ready.
have you been doing? You guys have just been playing Magic this whole time.
He knows
Yeah.
as much about it as he could in the 10 minutes we've talked about it.
I have a short attention span, yeah. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so what are you doing involved in this? What are you doing? Are you the tournament organizer?
Well, I wish I were just the tournament organizer. Well, you know, he's the main tournament organizer over here. Well, yeah, it's quite the story. Skaff and I, we started working together 10 years ago, 11 years ago now.
Something like that, yeah.
And it was fun. It was for a completely different thing around sports, which, you know.
We both love.
Yes, and yeah, after many working sessions at bars, you know, which ended at like 1 o'clock in the morning, we ended up as like really good friends. And you know, so I got to know Richard and Skaff, kept in touch, and then finally learned about this idea that they were germinating around a unique deck hero game. And I was all over it because I had been essentially obsessed over why haven't we seen something like Magic, like the evolution of that in a digital format? And it's not just card games, which, you know, our friend here will tell you all about, like Hearthstone and how this format has been very successful digitally, but it hasn't really evolved to something that can only be done in a digital format. And
What would that evolution look like, though? I mean, there's been plenty of trading card games online, including Magic the Gathering and other games. So when you say evolved, like what are you getting at?
I didn't know what that meant, right? And that's why I needed these guys. And that was the aha moment when the evolution was very clearly this idea of a unique hero whose DNA is essentially a unique deck of cards. And that just made sense. And when these guys started talking about, you know, multiplayer, and I was like, okay, so this is like the evolution of the perfection of Hearthstone and the evolution of Hearthstone, and we'll have amazing decks, and we'll have heroes, and we'll have cool like card battling, you know, graphics and all that. And then what they came back with, and I was like, okay, let's put this down on paper, was an auto battler royale with 64 AI controlled units making thousands and thousands of decisions every minute. And then I remember Skaff's like, yeah, you know, you need to tell us if this is doable. And I'm like, I thought we were making a card battler.
Well, I gotta say, Richard did the same thing to me back in 1991. Only it was him saying, I don't know if this is doable. And I'm like, I don't either.
Well, my answer was anything is doable given enough, you know, time, money, and the right people. And that's when I was like, okay, if you're doing an auto battler, I know the person. And my friend John here, he was working on Hearthstone and then Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which, according to Richard and myself, like, you know, it's pretty much the class when it comes to auto battlers. So I was like, John, are you going to help us build a great auto battler royale? And
did you tell him the royale part, or did you save that?
No, I said the auto battler royale part. Yeah, absolutely. I laid it all out for him because I was like, okay, look.
Absolutely.
This is different enough from what you're working on that you can advise us, and everyone's going to be cool about it. And he's like, I'm going to do one better. It's like, why don't we just do this together? And
nice.
You know, that was a great moment for Richard, Skaff, and me, and that was the start of Popularium. And that was almost 2 years now. Yeah, almost 2 years now. So John, why did you make? Well, I know now, but you know. Peter,
yeah, it was what you described. Like, we had started talking earlier about, hey, I'm working with Richard, Garfield, and Skaff. And I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. Like, those guys really know what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, but it's probably going to be a card game. And like, I've spent a long time working on a digital card game. Like, I'm looking for something exciting. And so the conversations just kept going. And I remember talking with Richard about how much fun we'd had with the auto battler genre. Like, I had been there at Hearthstone. We were making Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is a great auto battler. And we had all been playing it and just like kept playing it because it was so much fun. And we were all excited. We're like, hey, there's something here. And that was like the cool part of working at Hearthstone during this time, is we were chasing this brand new genre that had just come out. And everybody was trying to do their take on it. And so we were doing all of these little evolutionary steps. And talking with Richard and with Arka and with Skaff, we felt that there was a way to not just evolve, but maybe revolutionize that genre, take it up even further by combining some of these other elements that you've heard Richard talk about and Skaff talk about. And so we were just so excited. Like I remember talking to Richard about, hey, what like that core loop behind Battlegrounds, behind auto chess, behind all of these auto battlers, just how fun and compelling it was. Do you remember that, Richard?
Hearthstone Battlegrounds was, it was, I think, the whole genre got launched with auto chess, and it looked like everybody was sort of trying to imitate, perfect auto chess, but Hearthstone Battlegrounds really brought something new to the table, and felt like they were really exploring this a little more, and I just love the feeling in all the games, but it was really brought to a head with Hearthstone Battlegrounds of this controlled chaos where you understood the system enough to make predictions about what was going to happen, but you would be mistaken often enough that it was constantly surprising. If it was more chaotic, maybe you wouldn't make those predictions. And if it was less chaotic, maybe it would be too rote. But it had this sort of delicious feeling following the action.
Yeah, we really love talking about delightful surprises in that game, and the genre in general is just so good at that. But as we talked more, we talked about what we were loving about Battle Royale, which was obviously huge at the time. And we felt, to Skaff, to your earlier point, one of the things, and I think Richard has talked about this a little bit earlier, was that feeling of in these auto chess games where you were playing sort of more like a tiny 1v1 series of battles rather than part of this big grand melee. And that was like the magical thing Battle Royales were just delivering on. You just felt like every game was filled with chaos and filled with fun, and every match was different. And that's something that I think that we're trying to take and we're trying to evolve and make even better in the genre. And then that combined, probably the most interesting conversation is the one these guys were talking about around unique decks. Like one of the core problems in the auto battler space is around, hey, how do you make something really compelling and interesting that people want to earn and buy and stuff like that? And this felt like a way that you'd both add interesting, awesome, fun gameplay, but you'd also be able to hook into this cool narrative we're developing, this awesome world we're making, and sort of get your little piece of that, your agent, which is this materialized DNA through the unique decks. And so it was just like this confluence of all these awesome things coming together. And that's just so exciting. And talking with all of these guys, I'm like, I'm excited. Like, let's go do this.
And that was another thing that John and I agreed upon on a very fundamental level, that both he and I had seen that so many games that were mechanically brilliant just didn't put enough thought into making a coherent IP and a coherent universe around it, and that had to be retrofitted. And that was very important to us. So, John, are we ready to go with the tournament?
Yeah, I hear they're all ready. Should be good.
Okay, so on our way, why don't we stop by Jeremy and the other Peter and show you a little bit about, how our art and story has been developing, and then, we'll bring Peter over.
Tournament, yeah.
Okay,
All right,
come on over.
Who are the Chaos Agents? Where do they hail from? What secrets does the Chaos Agents universe hold? Find out in Chapter 4, starting in a few moments. Chapter 4, The Chaos Agents Universe.
Yeah.
Oh, hey!
Oh, hey, Peter. Hey, Arka.
Hey, are you guys show me the show tell?
Yeah.
Yep. So you know Jeremy.
Yeah.
Always good to see you.
This is Peter O. This is our other
Peter.
Peter's a
Nice.
great first
Good,
name.
great name. Great name.
P1, P2, got it.
And Peter's built the whole. Peter has built the whole world of Chaos Agents that Jeremy has then brought to life with his art. So, guys, do you want to tell us a little bit before we get started with the tournament about the world of Chaos Agents?
Yeah, you're gonna love this. Hey, Peter, why don't you start from the beginning?
Throughout the worlds of the firmament are scattered the shards of chaos. Condensed crystals of primordial matter that hold immense value and power. Give me some. Chaos shards are at the heart of these worlds' economies, weapons, and recreational mood enhancers. And from these many worlds have arisen formidable races, each with its own need of the shards, and each with a determination to serve up some righteous pain. These big, cunning, treacherous, proud, and occasionally valiant heroes, they are the Chaos Agents.
So we began with this idea that we wanted to build a really rich world behind the game. And that would give us opportunities to collateralize the IP and story and other kinds of medium. So I had this huge tapestry that I had an opportunity to help develop. And what I did is I started with an origin story. We call it the firmament. There's this idea, not dissimilar from the Big Bang, that everything began with a sort of dark energy, a dark matter that exploded outward. And then we use these cosmic forces of time and gravity to start to explain how the races evolve, the masculature, the densities of bone and those sorts of things, further and farther from the center point of the firmament. And with that, we developed the worlds and started to populate those with races. And once I had sort of the initial world Bible in place, then it was time to really start engaging with Jeremy and our team and start to give all of that a really great visual identity.
Yeah, when I read Peter's World Bible, I was super excited. You know, there was so much to dig into, and one of the first things we did was start exploring, you know, the different treatments that the characters could be. You know, do we want to go more 1980s kind of art? Do we want to go more anime? Do we want to go more fantasy, more sci-fi? And we ended up kind of falling into this really nice fusion where there's elements of anime, there's elements of fantasy, and elements of sci-fi, which I think really fits our world of Chaos Agents.
Yeah, one of the red threads, as we say sometimes, that we needed to have, and that Arka and John, we would spend time talking about with them, is this notion that there needed to be this sense of humor. So that there's a richness to the world that you could play against in a lot of ways, but part of the development of the sort of world Bible and what we wanted to pull through into the characters is this notion of fun, the chaos, right? The devil may care attitude that Richard has talked about. And so when we started doing the ideation on the characters, it was important to think about how they would be funny, both in what they might say, how they might look, and the animations that we would build for them that would kind of pull through that humor.
Yeah, definitely. At each stage, you know, we'll look at stuff and say, well, that's starting to feel too realistic. Let's go more cartoony, more exaggerated, more over the top, which you'll get to see in the VFX, the animations, and the character designs, which might be a nice place to go into. You want to talk about I think one of the first characters we kind of nailed was a Clausus?
Yeah, so one of the character races in the firmament is the Clausius, and they are a race that is sort of centered on telekinetic abilities of the mind. They're a sort of race that cares a lot about balance in the firmament, so they want to be sure that there's fairness in the competition for the shards and those sorts of things, because they're worried about the sort of potential cascade effects of too much shard collection or too much power. So they're a very sort of balanced thinking race. And so we wanted something that was really sleek and kind of convey that sense of like real mental acuity.
Yeah, this is, I think, a really fun sci-fi kind of haughty race. And I just love the Clausius. Even on their helmets, there's elements which help enhance their telepathy and telekinetic ability. Yeah, I don't know that this is a perfect analogy, but imagine that the kind of put downs you'd get from a Clausius is something like you'd get from Fraser Crane. Yeah.
Like, it's so smart that some people won't know they're being put down.
Yeah. There's still total, badass fighters. One of their ultimate animations.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see her. She hovers up into the air and does a 360 with her staff and just blasts everyone around this AOE damage spell, which I'm excited for people to get to see.
One of the cool things when Jeremy and his team of artists began to pull these together, they took elements and really sort of exaggerated them and made them fun. The staff that you'll see in some of the imagery, it's got shards that are seem like they're held in suspension. These are just fun ways to sort of pull through the idea of their ability to control with their mind, even in their weaponry.
We'll talk a little bit about Kalamar.
Yeah.
Home planet.
Yeah, so that's their home world. We thought about them as a race that's very elegant. They've got a lot of technology, but they use that in service of a kind of architecture in their world that is beautiful. It's not meant to convey strength. It's meant to convey elegance.
Yeah, it was one of the, I think it's one of the most beautiful environments we've done for all the races. But it's really nice. It kind of has this elven vibe to it. Yet it's also sci-fi and tech and these glowing lights and hovering buildings. And so there's this magic. It's like, is it sci-fi? Is it magic? I can't tell. So it's an interesting blend again.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the things that pulled through in the imagery you'll see of Kalamar is there's a thing called the Orullian tree that's got a sort of violet crimson foliage. And these little touches that just really make this world unique and bring together the sci-fi and the fantasy. For me, it was so exciting to see Jeremy bring all of this stuff to life because it did such a great job.
Yeah, and even now we're trying to solve, what are the gameplay issues? Are they going to teleport to these floating buildings, or how's that going to work? There's still a lot.
Those are fun gameplay problems that we'll leave for the engineers.
Yeah, what about the Maseo? They're one of my favorites.
So I know that John's very fond of this particular race. They're an expansionist race, so they're really all about the authority and the power that they can command, and so they're in. To take that into the game, it'd be all about victory, any victory condition really, but they're really going to be at the forefront. Their sort of short name is the Gallants, so they're really about, and they mean that, so it's not just a tongue-in-cheek, like they try and do things with a lot of bravado and show.
Yeah, I always saw these guys as sort of, Three Musketeers, kind of pirates, sword fighters. Yet again, we're like, how do we just go beyond that and add the sci-fi elements and give them laser swords? And I love in his animation, the male just has this. He throws his dagger, but then magically another one appears. So he has infinite daggers to throw. Is fun and chaotic and silly, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, there was inspiration for this race from sort of French background, even down into the battle dress that the female wears and the sort of cape that the male wears. Really fun pull through there. And their home world that we're looking at now is Proveris. Proveris is meant to communicate just in its visuals the idea that it is large, that they're kind of the Romans of the firmament. They're really trying to build their empire.
Yeah, I just love the massive scale here, and you can see the little Maseo in the foreground. And also like how, whatever their flags are of their castle, they also wear it, as their scarf, to represent their battlement and where they're from.
Yeah, that was a great touch. I remember when I was sort of riding up the race, I had this idea that one of their ornaments is the scarf, and you never know exactly what's going to work with the characters when they get to game. But Jeremy's team brought that in, and I think it's such a distinctive part of this race. It's fun.
And then, of course, we've got the Mahdi, which I think are pretty unique in their design.
Yeah, we were talking about this just before. When I was thinking through the initial set of races, I really wanted there to be diversity. And by that I mean I wanted a really, really big guy, a really small person, someone that looked like a beast, others that looked like they were, very heady, very much about the mind. So that sort of influenced how I thought about the musculature, and I made an effort to tie that to their place in the firmament. So there was logic and rationale for all of that. And the Mahdi turned out to be what looks like a big sort of ape-like race. You'd think they're bruisers. But because of that, I deliberately did what I call counter-programming, which just means this particular race is a thoughtful race. They have a spiritual connection to the firmament origin story. So they're not what you think they are. But tell them about the animation on this guy.
Yeah, I was dying to tell him, And that's why I love what you do. It's always not this, but that. It's zig and zag. It's, so it keeps you surprised, and when we talk about like this guy's advanced or ultimate attack, one of the first ideas Peter has is like, what if they're rolling like a bowling ball? They'll hit the crowd and their AoE is everyone is stunned. And the animation is great, and we'll get to show it to you here.
Yeah, Jeremy, when I first saw the first animations for this, the character kind of runs almost three-legged, right, on one big, huge forearm and fist, and then two short, stubby legs. But then when he throws himself into this ball, I just thought, oh man, that was so delightful and so funny.
Yeah, delightful and fun is always trying to make sure we capture that.
And their world, which is Grovas, is kind of what you might think a race like this would germinate from. It's closer to the origin point of the firmament, which means that there's a lot of gravity, there's a lot of time energy, and because of that, they sort of grew these bodies, evolved with these bodies that could sustain in that kind of an environment. And it very much looks like that when you see what the team has come up with.
Yeah, then we have the Salas designs, which Job Bear was talking to me earlier. He goes, it looks like they're probably at a similar distance in the firmament because they're both stocky. And I was so impressed that he could know their origin in the universe just upon the character design.
That's cool. I'd never heard that.
Yeah, he told me
like
just
that.
second, yeah.
Yeah, the Salas, again, I very sort of rudimentarily, I kind of was thinking in my head, how tall are these characters? How wide, those sorts of things. The Salas, I needed one that was small and hunchy, and also that would sort of occupy their world in a different way. In this particular race, they are subterranean. They build these in these huge grottos underneath. Yeah, Jorsham. Hopefully we're going to get to show you that
right here.
that image. They've got these battle arenas down in the earth. One of the ways that they contest with one another. And for me, even though I like the Mahdi race, like that's kind of a favorite, as an environment, those subterranean grottos just call to me.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, if I was down in the caverns and saw these guys coming at me, they would scare me for sure.
And the neat thing about these guys, and I know it's a future thing, but they have this great howl, which is part of like how they communicate and battle. It's a unique part of their sort of battlefield technique. I'm really excited for that because I'm a sound guy.
Yeah, it's coming in the next batch of animations. And that leaves us with the Orullian, which I think are a pretty cool, kind of mysterious, in the shadows kind of race, which is an archetype I love.
Yeah, they are. What's interesting is that we started talking about the IP and this idea that we could sort of create other ways to participate in it. We've got a game, an RPG Discord game, it's called Chaos Stories, and the Orullian are at the center of that because it takes place on their home world, which is called Altereth, and it's sort of populated by these trade unions, which are the sort of governance of that particular world. And these guys are all about how they can do a shady deal, how they can, the commerce is their driving function. So you can imagine that in battle, what they care about is shard collection.
Yeah, definitely. Here's kind of this lineup of all 5 of them. I love this key art here. If you look at all 5, which would be your favorite, Peter?
It's the Mahdi, just because I like the fact that you expect him to be kind of a thick-headed, brute, but he's not that at all. But obviously formidable.
Yeah. I think I was looking at Dusana, the Klauses. I really love her. I think what it was early on, it kind of nailed the amount of tech we were going to put in our character designs and just her attitude, and she's really good at shard collecting also in game.
Yeah, I have to say, for me, that was one of the great points of collaboration early on, is because you and I got on some calls, and how exactly I was thinking about it. I hadn't thought through how to bring the tech into those, and when you brought that in, it really completed the character. So it was that first moment oh, this is going to be a great marriage as we go forward.
Also, I think one of you can look at these and talk about them and learn all the lore, but the best way to experience them, I'm finding, is really when you're in gameplay and playing the game.
Yeah, just today, literally minutes ago, got to do some multiplayer, and this sounds like a line, but it was so much fun. People are going to love this. All of this backstory is going to make the playtest and people who get into this game, I think, just love it.
The excitement is at its peak for the Chaos Agents Playtest Launch Tournament. Will Peter hold his own against veteran Chaos Brokers in the upcoming Chaos Agents Tournament? Welcome to our first ever Chaos Agents Tournament. I'm Joe, known as Rocket Lunch on Discord, and I'm running the playtests for our team. I'm also our shoutcaster for this tournament, so let's dive in. We'll have 2 6-person pods battling for victory in our multiplayer pre-alpha build. Let's get our brokers ready to send their agents off to the arena. We'll be watching Pod A to see whether Peter can pilot his agent to victory. A quick overview of the game. Our agents are trying to win one of 3 victory conditions: gathering the most shards, surviving the longest while taking the least damage, and lastly, KOing the most other agents. The game alternates between an AI-controlled combat phase and a player-controlled power-up phase. Everyone's agents will start the game as unshaped mud, and as the match progresses, you'll see them gain temporary and permanent buffs. And let chaos reign! Right off the bat, we have a messy melee between Fatal Epidemic, David H., and a bot over some crystal shards. Let's jump over to another big melee between Vinay, Wolf, and a bot. We're going to quickly show off our early power-up phase where our agents are getting stronger each round. Fatal Epidemic is getting out of that battle as quick as he can, retreating from the action. Fatal Epidemic has made it peacefully away and has some time to gather some shards. Looking at the leaderboard, he has some work to do to get into one of the top 3 spots to make it to the finals. Jumping into round 4, we have some exciting KOs here from David H., as he knocks out not just 1, but 2 of our competitors. Look how happy he is with how that worked out. Meanwhile, Fatal Epidemic is still hanging in there, hoping to get the Survivalist. Moving on to round 5, Peter A. and David H. are both competing for the same shard. Fatal Epidemic is still attempting to survive and gather crystals as he runs right through this melee, taking some damage. But back to the major fight between the Peters and David. We're definitely gonna see some KOs here. Oh! David H. with another KO. Absolutely brutal. And with that, the match has wrapped, and Fatal Epidemic has held on to his Survivalist title. Congrats to our winners. Valen, piloted by David H. as the Brawl Master. Dusana, piloted by Peter A. as the Shard Master. And Roos, piloted by Fatal Epidemic, just squeaking out as the Survivalist. Exciting outcomes in match 1. Let's move on to the brackets. Pod A has Peter O., Vinay, and Wolf eliminated. Pod B had Catalyst, Thrifty, and Skaff eliminated. And with that, we have our 6 finalists. Let's jump into our finals match and let chaos reign! We're starting off with a lot of contested shards as our agents battle it out to force the other players to retreat. More fighting near the shards. Third-party action on the bottom of the map with a big brawl. Richard is doing well on shards, but Fatal Epidemic is right behind him. And we have our first Brawl Master, Brian bringing up that big first KO. Big round for Richard in terms of powering up. Tons of shield and good damage as well. Seahawk is coming for that Brawl Master title, nipping at Brian's heels with that bot KO. Brian has taken down another agent, creating a 1 KO difference and therefore maintaining Brawlmaster. And Brian is going for Richard now, but he's out. He is running away. And the Hawk is out. Looks like that goal of getting Brawlmaster didn't work out too well. The leaderboard looks pretty static now. If Fatal Epidemic can continue to avoid the others, he'll be set up for success as our survivalist. And with that, our match is wrapped, and we have our 3 winners. Congrats to Richard, Brian, and Fatal Epidemic for a great victory. Now, Richard Garfield will answer some questions from the community and our team.
Hey, Richard, I just got finished playing my first game of Chaos Agents, and we were sitting here at the table, and we had a real good time. And it got me thinking about, Chaos Agents is a video game that was born of a card game, and card games are best played around the table all together. And I wonder how you think about how people are going to interact in person together. Will there be, tournaments where people are together, or Chaos Agents conventions maybe?
Well, that would be marvelous. Nothing beats face-to-face, particularly in this sequestered age we live in. But the nature of this is as a auto battler royale does make it so that you can get a large community aspect even remotely, since you have time to connect in whatever way you choose to with other people who are playing and still be playing the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a ton of fun, just chatting while we were waiting for the battles to resolve. And I suppose that can happen in any format, whether it's like on Zoom or whether we're all together.
Yeah, that is the idea. I think it'll be just like many things, richer face to face, but this will be not as different as many games when played digitally or purely remotely.
Great.
Okay, wow. So I just finished my second match. First time playing tonight. My heart is still racing. Did much better in the second match than the first. So I love this game, and one of the reasons I'm a playtester is because I've been a Magic player since the beginning, since 1994. And for those of us who've been playing Magic for 30 plus years, we have a special nostalgia for that first year or two. To set the scene of 1994, the game was new. The internet didn't really exist. So the game felt infinite to us. It really felt like every time we played someone, we had a unique deck with a unique play strategy. And that magic of uniqueness is something I feel we can never recapture again. Now, when I play Standard, it feels like within a week or two, the absolute best deck has been spoiled to the world. Everyone on YouTube is talking about it. And it's just a different game than we had in the 1990s. I feel that Chaos Agents captures that magic from the 1990s when anything was possible. Is this really what you guys were optimizing for when you designed the game?
Yes, that is exactly what we were after, and hope to get even closer to that as we go along. Right now, we still don't have the skill trees, which will add a lot of the real big differentiation to the characters, but those will be in place soon. And I'm really looking forward to exploring how different we can make the characters and seeing where we can go.
it made me wonder if there's a big difference in skill or ability between two different heroes, and we get to the point where one hero is broken or busted or whatever word you want to use, just overpowered. What is your philosophy towards overpowering? Because with billions or even trillions of combinations, somebody's going to hit pay dirt and get that perfect hero or that seemingly perfect hero. Is this going to be a game where there'll be nerfing or banning, or you're going to hammer down whichever overpowered character should happen to emerge?
Just with any massively modular game like this, it'd be foolish to promise there's no nerfing or banning, but Skaff and I are really very conservative on that end, and like to see combinations and things play out. And we like to we try to avoid the situation where players whine about something and then we fix it, rather than give the players the opportunity to solve it themselves. And there will be differences in character strength. We're hoping to see them designed with strengths and weaknesses, so that it's going to be hard to find the perfect character. But there will be better and worse, just like in horse racing, there's better and worse horses, but there's still skill in riding. Mm-hmm. And this is not uncommon in the world of sports. It's very uncommon in games to use that philosophy, but different football players, different basketball players, they all have strengths and weaknesses, and some of them, like they're extreme, and yet you can get games with that rich division in skills and powers to be dynamic, and that's a lot of what makes them interesting. And so we want to see the play environment we have created so that you don't have the analog of the NBA going in and beating up on people on the playground and so forth. One nice thing about this approach is it allows you as a player to separate yourself from the skill of your character. So in a lot of games like, say, Hearthstone, you don't want to play a suboptimal deck because it's going to affect your rating, as that deck doesn't do as well. Here, your characters have their own ratings, and so if you play a poor character, you as a player aren't dinged by that. That character just may not qualify for the tournaments you want, and the next one maybe it will, or maybe if you learn how to take advantage of whatever it does have for it, you can bring it a notch up, even if it doesn't make it all the way to the World Championship.
Thanks, Richard. It was fun. Lifelong dream to play against you here.
I'm happy to be here. Flew in from Cleveland, Ohio.
Terrific.
Thanks for having me. One of the biggest questions that I have is, what is the biggest difference in making analog games versus video games?
Well, for me, the biggest difference is the length of time it takes. When I'm making a paper game, I can play test it myself, and I can really work out a lot of the stuff ahead of time. But with a game like this, you really need the whole team involved for a long period of time before you can start getting to the design and iterate stage, which is really necessary. Games are such complicated things, which is one of the reasons why they're so much fun to play and to design, that the iterative approach for most people is really the only way to go, because you have to, there's only so much you can get out of planning ahead in a notebook versus actually getting getting to the table with a board game, or getting to the console or the PC with a digital game. You have to get to that stage where you can play it, change it, play it, change it. So that said, there's some things which are much easier with digital, which is that once you do have that framework in place, you may not be able to change everything you like, as quickly as you like, but you can often change things around a lot faster than when you're doing a board game.
Nice. Well, I had a blast playing. It's been an experience for sure. So thanks for having me again.
Hi, Richard. As the community manager here at Popularium, I'm really interested in community-aided development, which Chaos Agents has really chosen to embrace. I'm curious how you think involving the community so early in the development, like you are, is helping to improve the game.
Oh, well, this ties back to the previous point on iteration. It is really important for a game design's health to have a lot of iteration, to play it and adjust it and play it and adjust it, because we aren't smart enough as a species to plan it all out ahead. And a rich playtest community is a real boon to that. And that's I don't know, triply so, quintuply so when we're talking about a game like this, which where you really want to have a lot of people playing a lot, this isn't a 1v1 game. It's one that you really need a community that's going to be part of the game ultimately. And so in getting that worked out in the playtest is important as well.
Well, thank you for not only listening to the community, but playing the game with us as well. I know it's been really exciting for me and all of the early playtesters to interact with you and even get to pick your brain as we play. In fact, we just had a great virtual session with you and some of our playtesters, and it was a blast for everyone. I look forward to playing Chaos Agents again with you soon.
Thank you for taking the time to watch our pre-alpha playtest launch event. And a special thanks to Peter Adkison and the Gen Con team for their amazing support and partnership that made this event possible. And most of all, of course, thanks to all the early playtesters who have helped us go from little dots chasing each other on the screen to what we have today with Chaos Agents. It was genuinely a lot of fun to see everyone come together for the launch tournament. And now, we are excited to welcome a large new swath of pre-alpha playtesters, including you. What we have to show you when you join the playtest is going to be about 25% of what we are building. And we want you to be a part of our journey to 100%, if you're ready for a few bumps along the road. Having said that, our goal is to ensure that every pre-alpha playtester has fun, even in this early stage, while helping us improve and evolve the game over the next year or so. You know, we are overwhelmed by the number of playtest applications we've already received. And rest assured that everyone who has applied will receive an invite through our rolling waves system, which is bringing in about 2 waves of playtesters each month. However, since you have taken the time to watch our pre-alpha event all the way through to its end, as a thank you, we are happy to invite you to participate in the very first Chaos Agents Iron Tournament, starting Friday, October 20th, 2023, and extending into the next week. So if you write to us at hello@popularium.com with the cheat code IRON, I-R-O-N, before 5 p.m. Pacific on October 19th, which is Thursday, then we'll accelerate your onboarding as a playtester and do our best to get you into the inaugural Iron tournaments. If you've already submitted a playtester application and are not in the tournament yet, let us know, because that is going to help us get you on board even faster. Thank you again. See you in the playtest. And of course, let chaos reign. Bye.